Welcome to Small Talk with RainKraft. I'm Subha, a leadership and executive coach.
And I'm Hasita, a marketing strategist.
We're just two people who love to talk
and love to learn.
And this is us being curious about the world around us.
Join us.
I watched WeCrashed and kind of mixed feelings. I really don't know what it was weird. First and foremost, this Jared Leto. I mean, he's like a pop culture icon almost, but I've not seen him in anything before this.
But I've seen him in, what is that series? Suicide Squad. And it was one of the most anticipated, I think, roles, right? Because before that, it was played by Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger had played the Joker.
Okay.
And that legend is literally legendary. And then we have this guy come in and do it. And to be very honest, I thought it was a very clownish, see what I did there? Clownish impression of the Joker. It wasn't very convincing in my mind, at least. But then after watching WeCrashed, I'm sold on him. I literally forgot that he's not Adam Newman.
I just, it's either because Netflix is eavesdropping or I don't know what, but then something else popped up where I think he's playing a serial killer. So I've kind of tagged that to watch later. But, and I made sure that I didn't really look up or read up too much about Adam Newman, the founder of WeCrashed. The founder of WeWork. I didn't look up and read up too much as I was watching the Netflix series or the Apple TV series, but there's a really strong liking to him, right? He's really played the role
so authentically. Well. Yeah. Really lives and breathes the character, I would say. I mean, of course, some of it there would have been creative license, I'm sure, but I'm sure it takes the kind of personality to sell SoftBank on something that actually didn't exist, right? Like, because I think at some point they began showcasing WeWork as a tech company.
Oh, that was hilarious. That bit where, and as both of us do enjoy the WeWork
going to WeWork, yeah.
Right. And so, we get so many mails about WeWork Labs, and it was kind of hilarious to see that sudden pivot or rather addition of an entire tech arm, which is really not that much when you look at it.
Yeah. But I think somewhere there was this whole idea that tech companies are easier to fund.
Yes.
I think their growth is also so monumental that maybe we can make a tech company out of this. Yeah.
But on the whole, it just had me wondering, it started with, and Anne Hathaway is brilliant too as his wife. And it started with very, in a way, strong intentions, right? I think his heart was truly in the right place.
Yeah.
Though he had a couple of weird and failed businesses, but whatever he was spouting, it seemed to come from the heart.
Yeah.
He meant it. That I've been born and I've been brought up in a kibbutz, and community is what I really know, and I want to build a community, and in that sense it hit all the right notes. And I just kept wondering, like, where did it all go wrong? Because he just needed to slowly build on that, and then it just took a turn somewhere when you're talking about things that don't even exist, and you're selling promises that you can't really live up to. And you're not paying your people well, and
the work hours apparently are quite brutal, and even that kind of culture is also immortalized, the hustle harder culture. But the fact is that it was taking a toll in whichever way it was. Now, of course, this is all in reference to WeCrashed, which we have to accept that at face value at least 80-90% of it is true. We
mm,
also don't exactly know, because some of those instances, like Rebecca's interview that she did after the fiasco at the summer camp,
mm,
honestly, I couldn't believe that that had actually happened in this day and age. So I had to go Google up, and it was quite shocking to find out that it was quite true, right?
mm, mm,
And also the whole cancel culture in a way, right? Like we glorify, we deify, and then we also kind of cancel people in a heartbeat.
mm,
I think, I mean, in my mind, where it all went wrong, and this is all perspectives, right? Like different people can have different opinions on this. I think in my mind, the moment it became about opening more WeWorks
mm,
around the
mm,
world, 100th WeWork, 1000th WeWork, I think they lost what you said about community earlier, right? Because if
mm,
a community is built by intention and involvement, and not
mm.
necessarily by opening the 150th WeWork.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's where it probably kind of started spiraling a
Correct,
little bit.
correct. And I think also the distance between the founder and the rest of the community, I think that
Hmm.
gap just kind of kept widening, right? Because this the founders or the husband and wife pair were getting richer, getting more comfortable in their, in the lifestyle that they could
Yeah,
now
yeah.
afford, and or maybe not afford, it's someone else's money, but buying jets and really living it up, while they were underpaid staff, working long hours, and then, like you said, that work hard, party hard. So forced to really kind of get into all of these group, parties and camps
Yeah.
and getaways, and not everybody wants to do that, right?
That's so true. But it's also quite interesting because what is shown to be WeWork in the context of the series versus, I think, our personal experience with WeWork has been beautiful. We
Mm-hmm.
genuinely do enjoy going there. And I know that before the pandemic, when they used to have these events in the evening, we used to really look
Yeah.
forward to all of those things. The community managers are just the sweetest people on the planet. So
Seriously, I mean, I don't know, like where they find them. They're just the nicest people.
no, and to carry that energy through the entire day,
Yeah,
like I would be dead after two hellos, I think. So clearly, it's not a job for an introvert, of course, and also not a job for the Grinch. But like in general, like where do you find these people with this kind of energy, right?
correct.
So, I mean, in a way, it's good that at least that part of things has been preserved because WeWork was
Mm,
always meant to be a community.
mm,
So
mm.
grateful that that still stays. But speaking of WeCrashed, did you know that it was actually a podcast before Apple acquired the content and turned it into a series?
I figured that out when I started kind of reading up after finishing the show,
Yeah.
because I didn't want any spoilers, though everything's been in the news, but I didn't want extra spoilers. But yay for podcasts.
So much plus 10 for podcasts. And unfortunately, I couldn't find the podcast though. Maybe they retired it or
Oh,
took it off air once this show was produced. But just goes to show the number of opportunities there are to tell stories, right? And what a
correct,
beautiful piece
correct.
of storytelling this
Because
is.
even The Shrink Next Door was completely from the podcast. So that's
Yeah, you
another
had
lovely
mentioned that
show
too.
on
And that's
Apple.
another.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
miss that one on Apple. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the point here, or what we just wanted to touch upon, is that the companies from outside look shiny, bright, and wonderful, but there there are many places where the culture is just toxic, right? The
Mm-hmm.
culture is just plain weird. It's just not okay. Um,
Yeah.
and I was listening to an Adam Grant podcast yesterday, and he talks a lot about the work life, right? And he was talking about just culture, and what is just a no-no in terms of toxicity,
Yeah.
a very bureaucratic culture, or a culture where there's just chaos. You come in every day and you don't know what's happening. There's no
Yeah.
direction. There's just anarchy. So building culture is really the founder's job, and it's the founder's job throughout the lifetime of the company.
Yeah, driving culture. I was going to say that.
Yeah,
Like there's
yeah,
there's never probably going to be a point in time when it's a done job, right? Like somebody
correct.
else is now living these values. They're
Yeah.
living those values because you're living them in the first place. And I
Huh.
think that is probably the part of the job that so many of us do underestimate also because, and rightly
Mm,
so, right? We have 100 different things going on.
mm,
Sometimes it's
huh,
hard, but I think Subha, by virtue of being external parties, right? Like you're a coach,
huh,
so you get that outside in perspective. I run an agency, so a lot of times by the time we are there, something's already on fire.
mm,
We see things before they see things, right?
Oh, so true, so true.
So-
Just today I was having a conversation with a coachee, and you know, about how crazy the workplace has gotten because of some change in leadership, and suddenly everyone's directionless. Over the last 3 4 months there have been new rules of the game every week. Goals are set, goals are changed again and again, and you could hear the frustration. You could hear them kind of frustrated for themselves and also for this company that they've been a part of for so long, that it's
yeah,
just breaking down. And nothing is really moving while everybody is physically moving from one thing to another, but nothing's really moving.
yeah,
And you can see it. You can kind of the red flags in a lot of what the person was saying, and you feel like just reaching out to that CEO or that founder and saying, "Hey, the writing is on the wall, right? Can you
yeah,
just
yeah,
take a breath and look around and
yeah.
listen and see what's happening?" You're
Yeah,
right. We do tend to outsiders see it sometimes a lot earlier than
earlier,
those
yeah,
inside.
because I've had that experience last month as well, where we're working with this client, and I saw, I think within a week, that there was a certain person in the system who would quit, and they would just be the first among many, because it
Mm,
was a culture that was kind of placing the blame on somebody else, and that was the essence of the daily stand-up call, right?
mm,
This
mm.
morning I will place blame for these things on these people, and people don't last in a system like that, right?
Yeah,
Like, why would
yeah.
I be in a place where I'm not valued or appreciated?
Correct.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the call out, that in a culture that is not resonating with you. Um, I mean, forget resonate, when it's just outright not okay what's happening there,
Hmm.
right? Where there is some amount of toxicity, or there are things that you're expected to do or say which don't are just not okay with you, right? Like maybe lying to a client, or kind of taking a look away when something is happening because it's not really that ethical or okay to
Yeah,
do,
yeah.
and you're expected to look away. I think all of these situations, the call out is that do walk away, because you do have a choice, right? You
Yeah.
don't have to feel trapped. If you've got a CEO or a founder who you just don't gel with, their ideology, their value system doesn't work for you, then what are you doing there? Like, what, you're not building a career, because as you
Hmm.
move higher, it's just going to get tougher, right?
Yeah.
And I think I feel that in today's economy, there are ups and downs, and there are cycles when there are more jobs, and there are cycles when it's tough. But I think an early exit is really what's important, and it's a good mental health strategy, honestly.
Even a good physical health strategy, because we don't realize how some of these things do translate into the way we sit, the way we slouch when we are not in a good place. All of those things do add up over a period. And more than anything, I think your confidence takes a beating, and we've seen that in the episodes of
Yeah.
WeCrashed as well. We've seen, people almost being numbed by what was
Hmm.
happening around them.
Hmm.
And I think numbness is really, because at least if you hate something, you have the motivation to change it.
So
But
true.
when you're indifferent, it's really a sign, I think, to kind of even
Yeah.
not do anything if you have that option for a while. But being where you are might not be the best way forward. Yeah.
Correct. And then, for God's sakes, don't bring in more people there. Like, don't bring in friends, or don't
Yeah, don't
recommend it
refer,
to
right? I
others.
mean, yeah, don't make
Yeah.
it worse.
Just
Yeah.
call it out. And today, luckily, we do have platforms where, I mean, not all of that is authentic either, but you do have, uh, you know, kind of hiring platforms where you can call out the culture, or you can say, hey, I
Hmm.
was there, I left, and, this is how it was. You
Yeah.
can do it anonymously. So, all that's possible today. But I, I think finally, your place of work, uh, as much as you can, should be something that when you wake up, you're energized, you feel like going there, you like the people around you, you like what you
So
do.
important. Yeah. I mean, we're doing it 5 6 days, sometimes even all 7 days
Mm,
a week, depending
correct,
on the
correct.
kind of work we do. And that, I mean, when I was a child, there's the story of the emperor's new clothes, right? And I used to think that
Mm.
was a ridiculous story. Like, how can an emperor not know that he's naked? Right? And it's one of the most outland, like, I could still believe Cinderella's glass slipper, but this is just, so outlandish. But then these are all, I mean, even the WeCrashed instance is like an extreme case, but these are all basically instances of that same story playing out over and over again, right? So until someone calls out, I think everyone knows it, everyone sees it. I think to a certain extent, even the emperor knows it, but somebody has to call it out for it to become real. Until then the citizens suffer. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So like do the world a favor and call it out. But just coming back to our original intent, I mean, it was quite a ride. We
Oh,
crashed.
it was binge through it.
Yeah, really binge through it, and in a way, it's going to happen, so you're waiting. It's like that
It's
roller
like watching
coaster
a
that's
car
going.
crash in slow
Yeah, like the
motion.
roller coaster is going up, 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 and you're waiting for that turn, and then that
Yeah, and it
what's
does.
happening here, and it does. And brilliant acting all around. I liked Miguel too. I mean, I sometimes wonder, like, is there a Miguel in the real world? Like
Yeah,
someone who
right.
sticks through all of this.
No,
Like
I'm
just,
sure there are. I'm sure there
I
are.
mean, he was there. He is there. So I mean, there are,
Yeah, yeah.
but just insane.
Kind of lost it a little bit. Yeah.
So that's our bonus episode. We thought we'll slip in one or two here and there about shows that we like, and somehow we connected back to our working life too.
Yeah, so true. And I think, Subha, we wanted to do this with drinks on the side.
Yes,
Had we done that, it wouldn't have been an episode of Small Talk at all. So it's a good thing that we didn't.
exactly. Hope you like it, guys. Let us know if we should do more of these because we do have enough material up our sleeve.
No, for sure, for sure.
Catch you
Stranger
next
Things is
time.
coming up next.
Catch you soon. Bye. Hey, small talkers. Thank you for listening till the very end. We love bringing these episodes to you and we hope you enjoy them too. Please do drop in your comments, likes, shares, reviews, whatever you can do on the platform that you're on to help us reach a larger and larger audience. And that would really make our day. You can find out more about today's guest or today's episode in the show notes. All the details and how you can find us on social media is right there. Thank you and see you next time. Bye.